The Coca Cola 600 on Fox is sponsored by Sprint, proud sponsor of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, by Viagra, and by DirecTV. Don't just watch TV, DirecTV.
Welcome back to Charlotte. Mike Choi, Larry McReynolds, Darrell Waltrip with you. And as we discussed before the break, 12 cars on the lead lap, about half of them stopped under this caution. Kevin Harvick, Ryan Newman, A.J. Allmendinger, Vickers, Earnhardt, Montoya, Keselowski, Kurt Busch, and Biffle, along with Burton, Reagan, Jimmy Johnson, David Rudiman, and Tony Stewart. That's the way they left pit road. And here is Denny Hamlin coming in to replace a carburetor.
At Bristol, this car didn't run good. I think it was Bristol. I'm trying to remember back. They had a carburetor issue. They took the car home, found out they had a power valve that had exploded in the carburetor. Could be the same thing tonight.
101 laps to go here in Charlotte. One more week of NASCAR on Fox, and it comes in America's heartland.
The plot thickens.
NASCAR on Fox is heading to the heartland.
Kansas Speedway. Expect the unexpected.
This could be big.
This is going to get dicey. Boys, have at it. These races are just so unpredictable.
NASCAR on Fox is making its first trip to Kansas.
The headlines here. Time for an AT&T race break. About 150 miles to go in the Coca Cola 600 with Kyle Busch leading Matt Kenseth, both trying for their third win of this year. And an auto racing triple header at the Monaco Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel of Germany, the winner. Dan Weldon, his second Indy 500. J.R. Hildebrand, the rookie, led the final lap but hit the wall with victory moments away. A nervous wreck for him. And who will it be to cap it all off tonight? In NASCAR's longest race, the Coca Cola 600, Kenseth has led the most laps, followed by Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch. Chris Myers, Jeff Hammond. We have a first-time winner. Marcus Ambrose are hoping to be looking for that first-ever Cup victory, following those two at the moment as we go through the pit stops.
Well, we saw the pit stops kind of go by and kind of set the stage here. We're taking a look right now at Marcus Ambrose running third, but I want to point out real quick, right behind him, that 21 car, he's already had one surprise. That car's had one surprise winner at Daytona with Trevor Bayne. This young man coming off of victory just a couple of weeks ago in the NASCAR series at Iowa. He's in great position after being a lap down for the most of the night. He got the car up to fifth. Could be a feel-good story, and his Cup debut tonight at NASCAR is one of their crown jewels. Well, Jeff, we talked about pit stops in that fuel window about, what, 50 miles, 55, although it seems like in green flag stops they stopped a little earlier. Yeah, 50 to 55 laps, and a lot of guys stopped earlier than the early part of the race, but I think that may have been somewhat tire-related and trying to keep up with the track. Now we're getting toward the latter part of this race. We saw from the All-Star event, guys staying out, just taking two tires. So it's going to be kind of crazy right now, Chris, as we go into these final 100 laps. A lot of things are going to happen. 17 different leaders and 29 lead changes. And checking the standings for the fastest pit crew, and AT&T customers want you to text your choice. Reply OK. AT&T, the nation's fastest mobile broadband network, getting faster with 4G. Let's rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike and continue a terrific day of racing. Mike?
Kyle Busch, Matt Kenseth on the front row. Ambrose, Gordon, Stenhouse, Logano, David Gilliland having a great race for Front Row Motorsports in seventh. Mark Martin, Carl Edwards, Casey Kane, the top 10. 100 laps, 150 miles to go.
Kyle Busch takes off again.
Good thing for Kenseth in that 17. He was able to drop to the bottom before they slammed the door on him going through 1 and 2.
Casey Kane flying around the outside. He got two in turn 2 in that number 4. Battling Stenhouse and Logano. In the wall. 2 cars hard right behind them. And 3. Gilliland, Newman, Mark Martin.
I'm okay.
Boy, that was a heavy lick. Sound like Mark Martin.
We just had talked about David Gilliland in that 34 sitting up there in the top 10. His night will come to an end.
He restarted 7th. What a tough night and a great run. Now, he was one of those cars that waited out that tank of gas late, and then the caution came out. Those 2 cars looked like they're pretty well tied together. Both drivers moving around and okay. David Gilliland closest to camera, and here comes the veteran Mark Martin. Regan Smith will get the free pass on this 11th caution flag tonight. This happened right behind the battle we were watching.
Look at Mark. Get out of my way,
Marcus, I'm fine.
I'm coming down.
Give me some space.
So we can see what sparked this incident.
All right, here's David Gilliland right in the center, the white car.
Mark Martin in the 5 on the outside.
Yeah, here we go down in the corner. Getting 3 wide, getting in there. Mark was sailing it off in there on the outside of Gilliland. Boy, look at Ryan Newman. He almost got his car went up in the air.
Just really nowhere for Newman in the 39 to go.
No.
Now Gilliland's car starts to come around, but look, Carl Edwards is right underneath him, Darrell.
Yeah,
And that
I think what happened is I think Mark went on the outside of Gilliland on the 34, and it sucked the back of that 34 around and got it into Mark Martin is what happened.
He and Mark were running 7th and 8th.
It's a pretty hard impact for Mark Martin with somebody like the 34 car riding him into that wall. Pretty much both cars did the same thing. I just think Mark's car on the outside, the air, he just got the air, got a hold of the rear of the 34 car and just started pulling it around, just like it had a magnet.
It's almost like they both were loose getting
Same thing.
Let's watch from Kevin Harvick's on board.
He's going underneath 34 right now. There you go. Stand about there. Stand it. There you go.
Ryan Newman.
You see, Mark started.
Hang on, bud. Hold the foot on the brake. Hold the brake. Still coming. All right, ease her down now. All right, guys, we got a lot of damage right side. One on.
From that last look, Mark actually was coming down the racetrack and really kind of came across Gilliland's nose.
All right, Dick Berggren is with Ryan Newman.
Well, you just watched the replay. What'd you see?
For whatever reason, the 34 got into the 5, but we were just a byproduct of it. I couldn't get the car pulled down after they bounced off the wall and got into them with the right front tire, but it's disappointing. We had a rough day with the U.S. Army Chevrolet. Not proud of our performance at all, but to go out like that was just unfortunate.
Crew's working pretty hard on this thing, Ryan. Do you think they can get it back out, or is that not possible?
I had to shut it off. We didn't have any oil pressure. I was trying to save the motor, but I mean, we got some tore up race car, but they'll work their tails off to try to get the U.S. Army Chevrolet back out there.
They don't give up.
If Newman's out of the race, he would finish 34th. And they are still trying to separate Mark Martin's Chevy from David Gilliland's Ford.
Those 2 cars were all but welded together. Look at that.
And like I said, that's a lot of impact for Mark because he not only did he hit the safer barrier, he's got the 34 car just pushing him up the hill and slamming into him as well.
96 laps to go. Pit road is still closed due to the incident and some cleanup.
Mike, it
down pit road.
sounds like the carburetor change on the 11 car has made him smile again. He says he's got power back.
And he's on the lead lap.
We'll show you extreme slow-mo of what put us under the caution for the 11th time tonight. A lot of sparks and a few flames as Newman's car grinds itself to pieces along the wall.
Yeah, they'll have a lot of work to get that 39 car of Ryan Newman's back out there, considering we only have 95 laps to go in this race.
Yeah, Larry, the whole right front's knocked off. Look at this right here. You see Mark goes off in the corner, and right there, he starts down the hill. I think maybe there was not enough room there for him to enter that corner at that angle.
And here's what David Gilliland said.
Looks like y'all are hooked together. You okay, bud? Oh, yeah. Yeah, Carl jammed in there and tried making it 3 wide. I know you're trying to give him room.
Well, that's his spotter's side of things. There was a pretty good amount of room between Carl Edwards and David Gilliland. Two cars just wouldn't fit in the same place.
Yeah, well, you know, it's that point. That's when the spotter says there's a car looking down low. There's a car down low. You automatically want to give that guy a little bit of room. And then, of course, Mark was already on his right side over there. So just kind of a conversion going into the third turn.
Now, the pits are still closed with about half of the lead lap drivers coming to pit road on that last caution. I think drivers like Kyle Busch, Matt Kenseth, maybe Marcus Ambrose, Casey Kane, I know a lot of them are caution laps, but they've got about 25 to 30 laps on this tank of fuel. Plus now, Mike, this puts you, if you pit now, at a one-stop race.
They'll probably come in when they maybe get closer to the track getting cleaned up. But, Larry, by the same token, it's what a dilemma. Do I give up track position where I'm safe up front, or do I come in and get myself back in one of these wrecks that these cautions are creating?
Well, what we know now is that from 12th on back, Dale Earnhardt Jr., because of the number of caution laps we've had, they're probably on a one-stop race.
The more cautions, which is about a 2-to-1 ratio, cautions to green, certainly getting them a lot closer than they were. But yeah, those guys at the front, in particular, Marcus Ambrose, because a lot of cautions, but 33 laps since he's been to pit road.
You're going to have to come.
Well, Jeff, I'd like to hear from you and Larry. If you're Kyle Busch, Matt Kenseth, Jeff Gordon, do you stay out or do you come in?
Mike, I think right now, I think you have to take a look at coming in and trying to put yourself in a position for that final pit stop of giving yourself better options. I think this is the time to come and kind of set the tone, force these other drivers to play your game, not you play theirs.
Larry?
Well, you look at those drivers you talked about that it hadn't been that long since they were on pit road, Mike. Every time we've got into a cycle of green flag pit stops, it seems like we've got a caution in the middle of them that's jumbled things up. And I think we're going to see, here they come. Pit road is open.
Not all of them, but most of them. I think Jeff Gordon stayed out. Matt?
Under the previous caution, Mike, they were 13 laps short of making it on one more stop. Their window they needed, so they stayed out. This time, though, Kenseth tops it off of fuel, Steve. They can make it on one more stop.
Matt, right side tires only for Marcus Ambrose. Krista.
Kyle Busch, they decided at the last minute they were coming in for 2 tires, also a track bar adjustment. Meanwhile, Jeff Gordon, he said, this is a different race up here. I like being up front.
And that's where Gordon is. He's the leader. Casey Kane is second. They did not stop. Neither did Harvick, Allmendinger, and Vickers. Here's why we're under caution. Hard crash with Gilliland, Martin, and Newman.